2021, here we come, ready or not. So many people today are making resolutions, and I thought it would be a wonderful time to just tell you exactly how to change your relationship, because lots of people resolve to do so and they don't do it. So let's talk about the 5 things that you absolutely need. And if you do these things, your life, your relationship will change. For those of you who might be new to my space or my channel here, I am Jenny Glick. I'm a licensed marriage and family therapist, a certified sex therapist, but in this space, I'm a relationship mentor, which means I work with women who have decided that they're ready to change, and I walk them through the steps that they need to make that change. Because getting to the other side of the change is the fun part, right? And I have the map, I know how to do it. I've taken hundreds of women through this process. It's something that you can do. It's not unattainable, but you do need to have 5 component parts, okay? So this will be here on recording. I'll post it on my YouTube channel as well. So take notes or go back and watch it, but here are the 5 things. Number 1, and the most, well, they're all really important, right? Number 1 is you have to decide. You have to decide. You have to really decide, I'm ready to change this pattern. What I've been hearing a lot from the women who are messaging me is that they're tired of feeling so stuck, feeling so resentful, feeling so disconnected, feeling so rejected in their relationship. And it's been going on for years, not months, years, and sometimes decades. And one woman said to me this week, I'm tired of just hearing myself talk to my friends about it. Like, I'm just sick of hearing myself. So it sounds silly to say the first thing is to decide, but until you really decide, I'm done with it. And one of the best ways to decide is to be so grossed out when you hear yourself, right? When you hear yourself like saying the same thing again, when you're like, oh my gosh, it's just disgusting. Not that you're disgusting, you're a beautiful child of the divine, right? So you're not disgusting, but that behavior is so 2020. I'm so over it. And the word decide means to cut off. So you have to be willing to cut off the old way. And here's what happens is none of us are ready until we're ready. It's why it is that you pick up a book or you set your resolution or you say, you know, I'm going to be calmer. I'm going to take 5 deep breaths. I'm going to get up and meditate. I'm going to read that parenting book so I don't lose it with my kids. You sort of decide, right? But the real decision comes when it gets hard. The real decision comes when it gets hard. When you haven't slept, when you are annoyed, when you've been triggered, when your in-laws have been at your house for a long time, when you've been unable to travel, that's when you get to redecide. And that decide part is so important. And I really believe that part of the reason, honestly, why women who work with me get their outcome is because they decide to say yes to something that feels uncomfortable, because I have them for 8 weeks and it's an investment of time, of resources, of money, of energy. They have to decide, right? The level of deciding, if you buy a $19 book, even though all the content in the book might be amazing, but I don't have to decide anything. I can buy the $19 book. I can go to the $200 therapy, and I can go back to doing the old thing. And that part is really important. And it's not that, you got to have some skin in the game where it's uncomfortable, where it's like, do I really want to do this? Am I really going to do this? Right? Think about, for those of you who are on the fence about leaving a marriage, right? You can, in your head, be like, I'm done. I want to go. I'm finished. I'm moving on. But then to decide to get an apartment, to talk to an attorney, to start doing all of that, it's like, okay, now you got some serious skin in the game. Are you really ready? Right? So the decide part is so important. And it's why I put so much information in my Facebook group here, because I want you all to know. It's why I do these videos, why I write those really, really long posts, right? because I want you to have so much information so that when you're ready to decide, you're like, game on, let's do this. Let's do it. And the women who show up with me and say, let's do this, we start immediately. All right. Because they're like, okay, decide. Weak need, make it happen. So number one, you have to decide. Until you do that, you're going to keep waffling. It's like my decision to lose weight or to start running. I decide it, but then the morning comes and I'm like, it's cold. I don't really feel like it. My knee hurts. Never mind. What I really decided was to not do that and to do something else instead. So number one, decide. Number two, you have to have a plan. There are a lot of different ways, just like there are a lot of ways to lose weight. There are a lot of ways to acquire a second language. There are a lot of ways to educate your kid. There are a lot of ways. My way is one way, right? You have to have a plan. If you do not have a plan, what happens is you feel overwhelmed. You pseudo decide, I'm going to change something, and then you don't have a plan. And so when it gets hard, you throw up your hands and you're like, this is never going to work. Why do I even bother? Right? I say that with so much love. Okay. I know. I've done that too. So I get it. You have to have a plan, a recipe. You do this, you do this, you do this. Super clear, right? We hold on to the plan. We hold on to it in those moments when we feel overwhelmed and scared, like I don't know what to do. You come back to the plan. So you have to have something. If my thing isn't the thing, cool. Find something. Commit to it. Decide to do it. Okay? So decide, have a plan. Have a plan where you know other people have done it and it has been effective to get the kind of outcome that you're looking for. Okay? Because what I do is outcome oriented to help you move from point A to point B. So get a plan. And I would say number 2B in that is a plan that you will be working with somebody who you enjoy, because you get to have fun along the way. It doesn't need to be a suck fest, right? It can be a good time. Number 3, you have to have some process to maintain motivation. If you don't have some scaffolding around you to maintain your motivation, then day 3, week 3 of your new practice, when whatever happens, the furnace goes out, your neighbors have to move in with you because their sewage flooded their basement, whatever happens, right? When you lose your motivation and then you shrink back into what's most common, avoidance, overwhelm, anger, not knowing what to do, right? And then that becomes the old practice pattern comes back. So you have to have a way to maintain motivation, which is why I do what I do in a group process, because you get to hear and see what other people are doing, and we get to celebrate you. So I am big, if you talk to any of the women, and there are many in this Facebook group who I've worked with, I tell women to celebrate every single day. Every single day, show up and say what's going on, celebrate your wins, not because I'm wanting to blow sunshine at people. It's because I want you to see your progress. How easy is it for us to not see our progress? And when I don't see it, I don't want to keep going because I'm not watching it because I'm inside of it. And so because you have access to me multiple times a week and the other members in the group, we are mirroring, reflecting back your progress. So you get to see that and it actually feels good. And so find something where you are being held in some way so that motivation is moving you forward, right? You want the energy of the space, the program, the plan, whatever it is, to help pull you along. Because if we had that level of motivation on our own, we wouldn't need other people, right? I wouldn't need to be paying somebody online to work out with me if I could do it on my own. I won't do it on my own because I don't want to, right? And so I show up with somebody who's like, this is gonna be amazing, right? Because then I'm like, yeah, this is gonna be amazing. But by myself, I'm like, I don't really feel like doing that. Burpees are really hard and I don't want to do those, right? So maintenance of motivation, really important. That's number 3. And number 4 in that is that celebrating yourself on the regular. So if you're working your own program on your own, celebrate yourself. Do things to acknowledge what it is that you're kind of moving the dial from point A to point B. Those little approximated steps that you're taking, those places of growth, really important for you to see those, to name them, to acknowledge them, celebrate with a friend. If your partner knows that you're doing it, you can celebrate with them. But seeing, witnessing your own wins, super important. And the final piece, you have got to know how to pivot when you're in the toilet, because welcome to being human. We will all fall into a dumpster. We just will. And we will have days where it feels terrible and I don't want to do it anymore and I'm super mad and I'm in my old funk. We're all going to have those days. And it's normal to have those days. There's nothing wrong with having those days. You have to know how to get from that like deep, mucky muck place. You have to know how to shift that. So you have to have a list of things that you can do. I have all kinds of powerful questions that I suggest that women ask themselves, because what often happens when we get in the muck of the muck, and you can go back and read some of the posts on powerful questions that I've written over the last many months, but we start asking ourselves totally unhelpful questions that take us into a pit. Questions like, why is this so hard? How come it's easier for other people? Why didn't I listen to my intuition? I knew I shouldn't have married this person. How come they're not doing anything? Why is it always my issue to do, right? Those questions keep you circulating in that old space. And then that's where you will live. And that is not where you want to live. You have to learn how to get yourself out of that, right? It is why for so many women, they need a way shower. They need a mentor. They need a guide, right? I always have someone who I'm working with because I can't see my own blind spots. I can't see what's outside of me. I'm not always this chipper and up, right? Like I'm not. So I need someone who I can hold on to in those moments, who can help reflect, oh yeah, why did I sign up to do this? Why do I want to change my life in these ways? Right? And that's part of having your pivot plan. We do all kinds of things in my 8-week experience where I have women doing burpees, quacking like a duck, asking themselves powerful questions, scrambling their brain in some different ways, changing their emotional state by moving their physical body, coming into our private Facebook space and posting something. There are all kinds of ways to help you shift out of the old programming, right? Because in that moment, when you feel super mucky, super heavy, right? There's so much old brain wiring there that feels like it's keeping you in a prison. And I know that. And when I talk about these things with you all, I know it is not easy. I know it sounds simple. Like, here are these 5 things. Why can't I just do the 5 things? Because you have 20, 30, 40 years of practice doing these other things, right? And so when you try to shift and do something different, and then you're triggered to move back to the old way, what happens is your body, your brain, your emotions are like, what are we doing? We don't respond with acceptance and calm. We get mad. We defend. We pull away. We shut down. We take it personally. We feel hurt. Not that there's anything wrong with feeling all of those things. You can feel those things, right? There's an art in learning how to feel your feelings and not get stuck in an old programmed emotional state that totally entraps you into a place of powerlessness, right? So you have to have a whole menu of options to help you pivot. Is this making sense, right? So the 5 components of really transforming things for you. And again, you have to have all 5. And you can do it with me. You can do it with all kinds of people, especially right now. Everybody's online. So find something, find someone. In general, you're going to need to get uncomfortable. Because if it feels super comfortable, chances are you don't have skin in the game. And that might be a time level of comfort. Like you need to feel a little stretched. The mentors who I sign up with, usually it's like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna have to do what? I'm gonna have to do a Facebook Live. I don't really wanna do that, right? It's gonna stretch me. I'm gonna have to lead a group. I'm gonna have to, whatever the thing is, right? But that's where the growth comes. The growth comes always outside of our comfort zone. So number one, you have to decide nobody can do that for you. I'm not gonna do it for you. I used to try to do that. I don't do that anymore. When you're ready, you let me know. And if you're not, cool. Stay in this group. I'm telling you everything. Do it on your own. Make 2021 radically different. Be legendary this year. Wouldn't that be amazing? Today is a great day to be legendary in your own life. So number one, decide. Number two, have a plan, a totally clear plan that you're committed to. Number three, have a plan to maintain motivation. Number four, celebrate yourself and have others celebrating you. And number five, have a plan to pivot for when you're in the dumpster. Okay? And with those 5 pieces and with your free will, because you have free will, you get to decide the experience that you're going to have in your life. Today's the first day. I love New Year's Day. It's the first day of the next 365 days. And you get to decide what kind of experience do you want to have, even when your life is the way that your life is. How do you show up anew? Because when you show up differently, what happens is what's around you starts shifting. Doesn't mean it comes without discomfort or pain or difficult decisions or sadness or grief. All of those are things that we get to experience when we're human. I'm biased because I believe and know what I do helps to hold women in those spaces because we don't need to do it alone, right? And so step into something where you feel held because you get to be held. We don't need to suffer, right? There's enough suffering that we can't control. So when we have options to control our suffering, let's control it. Let's surround ourselves with other brave, courageous women who are doing a similar thing. Let's get a map from somebody. Let's have other people help celebrate us so we're not the only ones. So thank you for being here. Thank you for receiving this message. I wish you all the best this year. I will look forward to seeing you next week in my live. Have a beautiful Friday evening, and we'll talk to you very soon. If you have any questions, post them in the comments below, or any takeaways. If there's anything that I've said today that has pinged you, that has been meaningful for you, I love to read what you write, and so and how it is that this conversation is landing on you. If you are someone who's watching this and you are interested in potentially working with me, send me a DM on Facebook. I will put the link down below, and I'll have a few questions for you because I want to make sure that we're a really good fit, and if we are, we can get started immediately. Take good care. Have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.